ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an
Good morning, good evening, good night, everybody. Welcome to the AMF GT series here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. This is season 11 and round 6 of this fantastic series. Welcome to the iRacing Esports Network and the Apex Racing TV affiliated socials. My name's Brad Clank, and with me in the box tonight is Daniel Leet, and behind the scenes in production is Scott Newton. Daniel, it looks like we're in for an interesting race tonight, and there's a bit of news with new setups and driver swapping between teams, and it should be an interesting 45-minute race tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brad. Great to be here again, and to all the viewers tuning in, great to have you back on board for round 6 here. As you mentioned, it's been a big week, this one, as you touched on. Setup changes, we'll go into those a little bit more in depth over the course of the night, so that's a real interesting thing for the guys to get their heads around. We've had a couple of drivers changing teams also, which has been really, really fantastic news. And I think from what we're seeing so far, this championship's really starting to come to a climax. The points positions really starting to tighten up towards the front and really open for anyone to take this championship.
Yeah, well, last week we had Anthony Winkleman take the win at Watkins Glen with Luke Pink, Timothy Thieben rounding out the top 3 there. A bit of a change up in the order from some previous rounds with that race as well. And points wise, we've got Harpert sitting on top, closely followed by Thieben, Trent Thomas in 3rd, Sam Holden 4th, and Lee Vandenberg rounding out the top 5. So just getting ready to go green here, and this is our grid for tonight. Winkleman has put it on pole, followed by Craig Edwards on the front row, Timothy Thieben in P3 with Chris Robinson rounding out the second row there, Kane Ryder, Luke Pink, Ross Rizzo, Joshua Thomas, Julian Clambusic, who has switched teams across to Fusion. We'll probably chat a bit about that later. And Nathan Happett's rounding out the top 10. Was Trent Thomas in 11, Lee Vandenberg in 12, Will Newell, Simon Nicholson, Martin Silvassi, Blake Delaney, Michael Kirkham, Martin Crisp, Matt Morris, and Billy Fletcher in 20. And we keep scrolling. 21 is Adam Gardner, Dave Clark, Aaron Specchio, Richard Hunter, Warren Pickering, Adrian Licht, Liam Jensen, David Clements, Vaughan Ryder, Jesse Butler rounds out the top 30, and we'll just cycle through the rest there so you can see the rest of the grid. It's a decent size field with the split tonight. Looks like we've got 43 starters.
Yeah, really decent field tonight, and we're using the historic layout, so the guys, as you see, go past the new GP layout, and we're going to see the speeds really, really high over these final couple of corners as the pace car dives into the lane.
So the field's all formed up well, and looks like Anthony's gone quite early there. He's got a good jump. So well clear of the other cars. Edwards making an early move as well. We've got about 4 wide as they head down into turn 1. One of the BMWs, they're even using the pit exit and a bit of grass. Oh, we do have some contact and a lot more cars coming through.
Yeah, down in the mid-pack, looks like Nick Filippo involved in that. Jesse Butler and quite a few other guys. Peter Hunter, I believe, also involved in that as well. So those guys are going to fall well down the order. And as everyone gets away, we'll definitely cut back and try and get a replay of that action as it unfolds. Out front, though, Anthony Winkleman starting to build a nice little gap over Craig Edwards. Tim Thieben still sitting in the 3rd spot. It looks like we've lost Luke Pink, though. He's fallen down the order. I'm not sure what's happened there because he's not currently showing up on the timing screen. He did start out of 4th position tonight.
Yeah, it looks like David Miller, Pink, and Brett Wilson. A few drivers there tumbling down the order. We'll see if we can get a bit of footage of that once things settle down. You can see the car's not yet really single file. There's still a bit of 2 wide action as they try to get sorted out here on this opening lap. Well, it's a move from one of the Trick SimSport drivers down the inside there. And yeah, he's able to get across the nose of the Ferrari, gets that move done.
Yeah, that was Martin Silvassi there for Trick Esports. We haven't seen much of Martin throughout the course of this championship, so good to have him on board. Currently finds himself in that 11th position, and looks like Trick Esports have got pretty well all the manufactured cars out there on track tonight. The Ferrari, the BMW, and the Porsche.
And we've got Kane Ryder has come down into the lane at the end of the first lap there, so early pit stop for him. So 2 wide heading through turns 2 and 3 here. They're trying to sort themselves out in this the tail end of the top 10. Heading down into turn 4, the famous Repsol corner. Very hard on the left tyres, and that's one of the Fishy Motorsport cars heading off into the gravel. I believe that was Thomas, Joshua Thomas. Yeah, he's tumbling down the time screen as we speak now.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing for him there. So he has been able to get that car back. It drops down to the 22nd position. So he's come a long way back. Billy Fletcher having a good run tonight, and new livery on that car as well, looking quite nice out there. So Billy Fletcher came on earlier in the championship. I think he might have been at Sebring, and been very, very quick in these cars. So look for him to work his way up as he tries to put a move down the inside of Martin Cruz. Actually, Matt Morrison potentially involved in that as well. So Fletcher off onto the inside, allowing everyone back through.
Yeah, it looked like he just locked the rears on the entry there. It's quite easy to do on the Porsche with its weight balance. It's very delicate trying to get the right bias setting on that car, especially on cold tyres, and there's more contact with 2 cars heading into the pit lane entry there. I'm not sure if that was planned or not, but looks like one of them has gone into the lane. A little bit of a wild rejoin. That was from one of the Pulse drivers there, was it? Or I might have been caught in the JP Simshed car.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward redress there for Alex. I think he might have actually been tangled up.
Oh no.
Matches another Ford. I think that was Adrian Vlock in that Fordzilla Motorsports car as well. So Vlock not having a good start to this one either.
So yeah, a little bit scrappy the start of this one, the opening laps. Probably just worth giving a shout out to a couple of drivers. We've got Lindsay Hobbs up 19 positions. Jordan Cullis is up 14, Brett Wilson up 15, so they're the biggest movers from the opening couple of laps there.
Yeah, doing a very good job. Lindsay Hobb now has got Trent Thomas for the Trick Esports team right behind him. Warren Pickering also closing in, so the little battle developing at the bottom end of the top 20 as the guys work their way up to Campsa and going to get a nice long run down here to turn 10. We'll see whether we can get another couple of moves put on, but it doesn't look like Thomas has got the legs in that BMW at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things play out sort of this week and next week with these new setups. Obviously iRacing been making plenty of changes during this season, and the Aussie Mixed Fixed Stig has had to make a few little BOP adjustments to some of the cars. So at the moment we've got a pretty good mix of cars up front with BMW followed by Ferrari, BMW and Ford. So it's looking pretty good. The first Porsche is in P11 at the moment with Slovasi.
Looks like we also got our first penalty for the night coming through as well. Alex Court there in the 744 BMW will get a drive through for some earlier collision there. We saw him in a couple of incidents on the entry to pit lane, and then another one down into turn 1 there. So he'll have to come down for his trip through the lane. Actually going to get a move put on him by Aaron Jacker as well. So his night slightly going from bad to worse. Now there was a change throughout the rule book as well for those new to this championship from coming in from last season, where these drivers now need to come through, complete their drive through, where previously they could actually take that with pit stops. So it's going to be a little bit of a disappointing night there for Alex, now having to come back through the lane for a second time later on tonight.
Yeah, very nearly contact with one of the other cars, a Ferrari there as well. So probably a good opportunity to recap what's happening up front. Winkelmann is doing a great job in the Trick Esports BMW. He's built a gap of 2 seconds over Edwards in the Ferrari, and then Phoeben is following a couple seconds behind with Robinson in tow there. So that's your top 4, and you can see Huppert's just trying to tag along to keep up with those front few. Lap times at the moment in the low 138s for the guys that are on the pace, the 38.01 is Winkelmann's best. I believe that's the best in the race so far.
Yeah, currently best time now. We did see qualifying down in the 1:37, so potential that will come back in, especially later on to play when these cars do get a lot lower on fuel. But keep an eye just to see how they go. Obviously, 45 minutes tonight. The guys really need to look after these tyres to get them home. So there's definitely potential on the car there that we will see that later on, maybe after the tyre stops come through. Nathan Huppert's doing a good job though, starting to extend that little bit of an advantage over Lee Vandenberg. So the Fusion car versus the Mark 1 Esports team. So those guys are still scrapping down over 5th and 6th, and another penalty being issued this time for Warren Pickering. It's for a drive through for contact. So Pickering will need to come in, and he is currently just trying to pick him up in the order, down in 19th position at the moment, so he's going to find himself dropping well down.
There's a couple cars just locking up there, leading into the hairpin, and just trying to look at a replay of the start here.
It looks like a really good start from everyone getting through. Looks like Pink had a fantastic run. I thought we might have seen him jump up into that second position there, but had a comfortable third further down though. The Fishy Motorsports car getting a nice run up a couple of spots, and then had that little issue, Billy Fletcher and Matt Morris going through, and there was some cars turned around. Looks like Luke Pink actually down into turn 1 was the start of his first issues there. Right on board with him, get a good run down into turn 1. You can see Ross Rizzo alongside that Fishy Motorsports car. It might have been Josh Thomas there, and as Pink goes down into turn 1, actually contact with the Trick Esports car and avoidance there too from one of Trent Thomas, I believe, going through as well. So lucky that he got through, but that's put Luke Pink well down. Started 3rd, now finds himself in 37th position.
Here we are with Will Newell and P9. Apologies, I've just lost picture for a moment there. Damon can try and pick that up.
Yeah, Will doing a really good job here. He's currently sitting in 10th position, so has gained 4 spots from the opening. So a nice little run for him in that JP Sim Share. He's got Blake Delaney not that far behind, and he's trying to close down that gap to Julian Clemensing, sorry. For those who know Julian or have seen him throughout the course of the championship, recently making the switch to from the Supervac esports team over to Fusion Sim Racing. So good change for him there, and going to see him really start to show the pace in that car as he continues on. Right on board here, Richard Hunter in the DPR car running through turn 2. He has got Adam Gardner in the Mark 1 Esports Porsche right in front. You can just see there, he's been slowly bringing down that gap. Just a fraction just in front of these two. You've also got Martin Crisp in there and Martin Silvassi just a couple of spots up. So about 5 or 6 cars around here, not too far away. Matt Morris, you can just catch him in the rear view, trying to get a nose up the inside, and not sure if he's going to get that move done. Just slots back in, but he will get a fantastic draft now going down into turn 10.
Yeah, that's just looking back from Richard Hunter's car here. Well, the Ferrari getting very, very close on the brakes.
Yeah, really good run there from Morris going in. He closed that car up quite a lot, and I think we'll see him slowly work his way forward. Probably been the one issue that he's had throughout the course of his championship so far. The qualifying hasn't quite been there, but the racecraft really starting to show itself through here as he takes an early line and drops into the pit lane. So that will be his first stop as we start lap number 8 here. Adam Gardner closing in closely on Martin Crisp. We had a few other stops as well go through with Craig Edwards and Trent Thomas also.
So he's Robinson, and he's got Phoeben in tow, the Mark 1 teammates. And we've got a confirmation of another penalty there, a drive-through for Ross Rizzo, and that's still back from lap 1. So the steward's very busy trying to review all the action we saw at the race start.
Yeah, and I think we'll find that'll be for that contact that we saw with Luke Pink down into turn 1 there. So those two very, very close together, and unfortunately there for Rizzo will get the drive.
Yeah, so Winkelmann's stretched that gap out to almost 6 seconds now over this pair of the Mark 1 drivers. And it'll be interesting to see if the balance of some of these cars changes as we head into the cooler temperatures here. The pitch is looking quite spectacular with the lights on. It's always good to have a twilight race. 21 degrees track, 38% humidity and 19 degrees ambient.
Yeah, this will be really nice driving conditions for all these guys out here. The lights will be a really nice change. It's what we've traditionally seen. Oh, Darren Lobb has a big lose at the run through turn 2 there. And actually, sorry, that's turn 10 down at the hairpin. Able to get that car back underway, and we'll see if we can cut to a replay of how that all unfolded.
Oh, it just looks like a slow rear end lose into the hairpin there. Probably just came in just a touch hot.
Yeah, very lucky to get that car away with minimal damage.
Just tapped the wall right at the very end of that, I believe, but didn't look like it would have done too much damage. Yeah, so still looking at Lee Vandenberg for another of the Mark 1 drivers. They're holding 3 of the top 5 positions at the moment. Oh, and that's a car off to the left outside of Campser there. I think that might have been one of the lap cars.
Yeah, taking a very scenic route the long way through there, able to get that car back underway, which is a little bit interesting. We'll see that car.
I believe that's our 4th penalty for drive-through now. This time, Dave Clements has felt the wrath of the stewards from causing a collision on lap 8.
Yeah, that will hurt Clements. He was having a pretty decent run, and he's currently sitting down in that 22nd position, so wait for him to drop in the lane, but he will drop a long way back now. Guess we've probably got a good chance just to touch it. Well, we're in a little bit of a quiet period here in 10, but for the setup changes, you touched on it earlier with the stick, getting involved in it. It's been our 3rd lot of changes over the course of this championship. Obviously, we saw some changes come in following the Road America race, where we had a really big accident down through the kink there. But over the last couple of changes, we've seen some adjustments to tyre pressures. This new one brings the starting tyre pressures down a little bit, which I think will help these drivers. They'll get a little bit more feel in these cars, and some nice adjustments with the suspension to help them ride a little bit better as well. But I think it's really starting to tighten up this field as we see Jordan Cullis, Billy Fletcher, Matt Morris all getting involved here as they run down into turn 1.
So yeah, there's battles all the way through the field. You can see that these guys are down fighting for around 26th, 27th place thereabouts. Got a little bit of a squad of BMWs here, fighting just as hard as if they were fighting for a podium position. Well, it's a pretty aggressive move there on the inside, and there's a contact between one of the Mark 1 cars and Trent Thomas in the Trick Esports.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that might have been Luke Pink involved. You see him having a big run down the inside.
Oh.
Just catches that rear quarter of Trent and spins him around. So that's potential. We'll see another drive-through penalty for him there.
Yeah, Luke Pink possibly a little bit frustrated and trying to have a bit of a recovery drive from that contact earlier in the race, but yeah, it's getting caught out there. That was Luke Sutmore just having a look at. He's worked his way up inside the top 20. And this is Billy Fletcher in P24. He's got Cullis just behind him in the... no, sorry. That's Morris, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, these two did have a little bit of change of position just a touch earlier, so Morris starting to work his way back up towards the sharp end. He's got Darren Lobb just out in front, about 3 seconds up the road, so look to see Morris start to apply the pressure.
And there was another penalty which just popped up there briefly. I didn't quite catch which driver it was, but yeah, race control definitely having a very busy evening this evening. And yeah, just confirmation from Scott behind the scenes there. Thanks, Scott. It was Luke Pink getting a penalty for that contact that we just saw the previous lap. And Morris having a look down the... no, sorry, that's Chris. He's under attack. He's got Hunter. He's looking for quite a few different lines to try and make a way through here. These two scrappings brought look like Delaney and Kirkham onto the back of this as well, and we see one of them peel off into the lane. I think that was Hunter. He's decided to get out of the traffic and try and do his stop.
Yeah, not a bad time probably to come in. It will make it very tough for him though in the later half of this run. Obviously, we're only 18 minutes into this, 45 minutes to go, and they do have that one mandatory stop. Now they don't need the tyres, but they will have to take some fuel here. So don't know how that's going to play out for him, but he's certainly going to have a quick car towards the back end of it. But with Hunter coming out though, Blake Delaney really starting to get on the back of Martin Crisp in that XRC Racing car. Right behind there, you can see Kirkham looking to stick the nose of his Porsche up into this fight as well. So a nice little 3-car battle over the 11th position.
One thing worth noting at the moment is probably Craig Edwards. He is the first car on the timing tree that has been through the lane. He stopped on lap 7. I don't recall him getting a penalty, so I believe that was actually a stop.
Yeah, it was an early stop in for him, and I think he'll push through quite nicely. Julian Klimbersink up on screen at the moment in that FSR car. He's got so Adam Gardner right in front. Actually loses the rear end of that BMW, and he's going to drop a huge amount of places, having to wait for everyone to file through.
Ooh. That was not dangerous rejoin, but it's you just found a nice gap to slot back into there. It is quite tricky, that complex down at 7 and 8 there. So it's kind of changing elevation and a change in camber as you roll through that corner as well. Quite often people will kind of lose it on the exit of 8 after hitting the Sochi curve on the inside, but that time Julian just getting into trouble on the entry.
Yeah, looks like Tim Phoeben coming back out after his stop, so he finds himself back in behind Craig Edwards as well. So those drivers down that have stopped already down in the 13th and 14th position. Winkelmann still extending his gap further out towards the front, currently nearly 7 seconds clear at this point, so he's having a fantastic run in that Trick Esports car, and the only driver at this point in time also to have dropped into the 137s. And for all new viewers out there who would like to check out the timing and the track map, see where all these drivers are, there is a link to the SDK Gaming software there, and you can pull all that telemetry up and see where your favourite drivers are currently tracking out on course.
So yeah, Winkelmann, he made that great jump at the start, and no one's really shown him the nose ever since. He's just gradually stretched away. Really consistent driving. So I'm sure if he keeps this up, he'll be very pleased with his efforts tonight. And so Robertson in P2, and then we've got Vandenberg and Harpers looking quite close together at the moment in 3rd and 4th, and Nicholson just in the rear shot there in 5th. So good mix of teams up in the top 5 there now. The order's been broken up a little bit during the pit stop cycle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got Trick Esports out there, a couple of the Mark 1 Esports cars. We've got XRC Racing and one of the Fusion Sim Racing cars out there as well. So really good spread of these drivers working their way through, which is really good to see.
A few more drivers just making their way through the lane, and we'll start to get a bit of an idea on how the order's going to shake up after the pit stop cycles have been completed. Another penalty coming up from lap 2 there, so that's Pickering causing a collision. And so yeah, the race control is certainly very busy scouring through the replays of those early laps, just making sure there's nothing that they've missed. It's not a job that I envy, but yeah, it's great to have race control, live race control on board, and the RMS software helping drive all that behind the scenes. You can check that out at www.rms55.com.au.
Yeah, it's very a good job for all those guys back there. Peter Hunter coming up to Luke Sutton. I think haven't seen that livery of Luke out there, but one of the best liveries for this race as we see Hunter just with a little bit of a lose mid-corner, able to keep it underway. He's going to have Aaron Specchio close up right behind him. You can see those headlights of the Ford grow ever closer, and Hunter dropping down into the lane for his stop tonight.
Yeah, Luke's a bit of a character. He'll be quite happy getting a little bit of screen time here. I think this is his first appearance in top split here at AMF. He actually was driving with my old team not so long ago. He's currently running as a privateer.
Yeah, putting a really good foot forward, up 26 spots from where he started. Obviously, we've still got pit stops cycling their way through, but it's a good run to be up well inside that top 15 at the moment. Specchio currently our second Ford in the timing tree at the moment. Finds himself down in 15th, up 8 spots. And the only other Ford up in that top 15 at the moment too, Chris Robinson, currently running in P2.
So these Ford GTs look fantastic at night with that lighting. And the new Mark 1 liveries certainly standing out with the bright colours there on board with Robinson.
Yeah, the flying buttress that Ford really put into these cars works exceptionally well with those lights there. I think probably one of the best lighting systems on these cars at the moment. Klimbasink drops into the lane for his stop as well. So we'll see him fall a little bit further down the order as Edwards and Phoeben look to go past as well. But this is a really solid run for Chris Robinson. We haven't seen him much up in towards the top half of the field here for the Mark 1 team, but very early on, pace looking quite good for him. The car sitting around the mid 138s, and last time by actually matching the pace of Anthony Winkelman, our race leader.
Just as we continue to cycle through these pit stops at the moment, it's probably worth mentioning a couple of our other sponsors here at the AMF series. And we've got Abruzzi Racewear on board, and there's a whole range of customizable racewear you can check out on their website, which is www.abruzzi.com.au. And we also have Simfinity on board for the series, and a manufacturer of aluminium profile rigs, and their website is simfinity.com.au.
And great sponsorship from both those two, along with RMS 55. They've been with this championship for a couple of seasons now, and especially for anyone in the Aussie region looking for a decent 80-20 aluminium extrusion, Simfinity are putting up some very nice bits of kit at the moment. Nathan Huppert's down in the lane as well, so we'll see him drop out of that third position as he comes through. And top 5 shaking up still a little bit further. Adam Gardner having a nice run on his way through, still yet to come through for a stop, finds himself in 6th, chasing down the Porsche there, Martin Silvassi for Trick Esports. So the Mark 1 team showing some very good pace early on in this car.
It looks like Huppets is fed out behind Phoeben into what is P12 at the moment. Still a few cars yet to make their stop up towards the front. Edward's still the lead car that has stopped, followed by Phoeben and Huppets. So they're the top 3 that have made the stops at the moment.
Yeah, it'd be really interested to see how these two play out, because Phoeben and Huppets, we touched on earlier in the points, our top 2 currently for the championship, so not much between them, only about 30 points as we come through into round 6, but pretty well anyone's game here, and both these two very, very consistent drivers over the course of the championship. Brett Hender in the FSR Ferrari there, coming under a little bit of attack now. Darren Lobb for DPR Racing having a really good run down through turn 1 as they work their way up to turn 2 now.
Yeah, it looks like Hender's yet to make his stop, where Lobb's been down the lane, so if Hender might be struggling a little bit to keep Lobb behind here.
It looks like we've got quite a lot more stops going through. Race leader Winkelman, Ian Robinson, Nicholson, Silvassi and Gardner all coming through the lane for their respective stop tonight. So Winkelman comfortably back out. To see him rejoining there. He's going to have Blake Delaney closing in down onto the run to turn 1 there. Actually, sorry, a lap car, Delaney a little bit further back. Having a good run, still yet to come in for the Team 88 BMW there, but he has got Craig Edwards closing up fast in that FSR Ferrari.
Yeah, about 17 minutes or so left in this one, so you can see a lot of action in pit lane as some of those cars from the top 10 start to filter down through the lane, and we've got a lot of cars in the middle of the pack as well. So Specchio, Sutton, a lot of those guys that were hanging out trying to use the clean air, they've all headed into the lane now as well. So got a good 3-way Porsche battle here. And it's Gardner, Fletcher and Hunter. And they have all stopped.
Yeah, he's very close on pace at the moment. Nice to see the Porsche a little bit further up. It has been suffering a little bit, and I know there's been some nice tweaks to the balance of BOP just to help get these cars a little bit more competitive at the moment. I think it's starting to show through. Obviously, we've got Martin Silvassi a little bit ahead of these guys, currently in 9th and yet to stop so far tonight, but these guys are currently sitting down in that 14th spot doing a really solid effort.
The glorious sound of the RSR. I'm a little bit biased. I do like driving that car myself. Spent many hours in it last night with the Suzuka 12-hour. It's very fun car to drive, and it's pretty well suited to this track. Spent a bit of time around this track on it before.
Yeah, look, it's one of my favourite cars. I'm a little bit biased. I love driving this car. Admittedly, I've got the Ferrari wheel sitting over on the sim there, but you can't beat the sound of that Porsche engine in it. Very reminds me a lot of the Audi R8 in the high-pitched nature of that engine also. So something that I really like with it. It provides a really good challenge, but these three doing a solid job. Fletcher very wide down into 2. That's going to open the door there for Richard Hunter to come up and have a go at him.
Yeah, you can see Gardner's just been able to stretch a little gap in front of these two as well there. He's using all the track on the exit of 6 there. And they all just avoid the infamous sausage curb on the inside of 8 up through Campser. Fantastic corner, that one. And just looking towards the tail end of the top 10. So Newell's quite close to Klimansik, and then we've got Matt Morris there as well.
Yeah.
So just
keep an eye on that replay there. Morris looks like to just got moved on there, a little bit of blink, but he's got still that car of Will Newell just up the road from him. You can see Julian Klimansik just at the bottom of frame. You can see these guys are all filed down into turn one.
So it looks like Kane Ryder is probably the only, well, he's the first driver that hasn't stopped. He's in 15th at the moment. He's right on the back of Lee Vandenberg. So yeah, that's Kane there in the BMW. Actually, yeah, sorry. He did stop on lap 1. It's not coming up on my screen because I had to reset the live timing earlier. So yeah, he was the car that we saw coming on the end of lap 1 with that really early stop, and looks like he can stretch that fuel all the way to the end, having done that strategy. So we'll see how that plays out. So this is for position here. Vandenberg in the Mark 1 car with a bit of pressure from Ryder.
Yeah, I've really noticed over the last few races, Vandenberg's really starting to become acclimatised now to the Ferrari. We saw him a couple of seasons ago once we made the switch to the GTE cars in the BMW, and I think while he was very competitive in that car, I think moving to the Ferraris really suited his style well, and getting some good pace out of that car at the moment. Likewise, Kane Ryder, we haven't spoken a lot of Kane over the course of this championship, but sitting in that BMW now for Max Boost Racing, having a really good run here. Finds himself 15th. And that's one of the Mark 1 cars in the back. I think that was Michael Kirkham going around on the exit. And
it looks like he's going to take a tow. He's going to have to request a tow with race control there, it looks like.
Yeah, if you're right on board, you see him working his way down, just catches a little bit of dirt as they tip into that final corner. The car pushes a little wide, grabs the gravel trap. And,
that's a hard hit.
Tank slappers it across. Lucky not to get cleaned up by the 2 cars going behind.
Yeah, probably luckier for those 2 cars than him. But yeah, some hard contact with the wall there. It's put a dent in his chances.
Yeah, definitely. And that taking the tow to get back to the lane there, that will see him out for the remainder of the night. So an unfortunate one there. Although I think he may have got that car. No, that's still stationary in the lane. So that'll be Kirkham's night, unfortunately, done there. Will Newell still pushing on. It's actually started to fall off the back there of Julian Klimansik, with Matt Morris coming at him at a rapid rate of knots in the Ferrari.
So probably just a bit of a recap. Winkelmann still out in front with this dominating drive that he's putting on. 8-second lead over Edwards. We haven't seen too much of Winkelmann, but he is still out there churning out very, very fast laps. And Edwards doing a solid job in P2 for Fusion and Sim Racing. P3, about another 4 seconds back, we've got Robinson in the Mark 1 Esports Ford. And another couple of seconds just coming through under our shot there is Timothy Thieven, another Mark 1 driver in the BMW. And then 5th we've got Huppets, again another Beamer, and another Fusion Sim Racing driver. So those 2 teams having a strong outing. Good bit of rivalry between them as well. Simon Nicholson, XRC Racing, he's had a really solid drive there in 6th. And then we've got our first Porsche with Martin Salvasi in P7 with Tricker Esports there. Klimansik in the Fusion Racing BMW in 8. And rounding out the top 10, we've got Newell in 9. And then the Ferrari of Morris pretty much right on his bumper to see if we can take that 9th position away from from Newell. So yeah, it's a good mix of cars and teams through the top 10. Plenty of battles right through the field. It's as we cut down to Liam Jensen in P25. He's got a bit of a gaggle of cars here. He's looking to the outside of that Ford. Oh, he comes back on the inside though. But if he can hang around here, he's going to get the inside line heading through the final sector and the sequence of right-handers. So Europe car, they're making their way through here, and it's taken a while, but it looks like he's going to get this job done. Now we'll see how they go with the drag race down the straight.
Yeah, full credit to Specchio. They're not giving an inch around the outside. They're hanging very tough. His teammate Brett Wilson right behind, looking to potentially pick up the scraps as these guys fire down into one. Looks like the Ford just going to come over, cover that line.
Yeah.
And, not a lot of room for him and Jensen.
That was good work under brakes there from Specchio. He's done well to hang on to that. A lot of pressure right through that lap. But yeah, it just goes to show there's plenty of action in AMF right through the field. Drivers racing hard no matter what position they're fighting for.
Yeah, and the standard that we've seen throughout the course of this championship, the level of driving standards continued to go up. Obviously, we have had a few little indiscretions tonight, which, thanks to our stewards, have been on top of extremely quick. But general racing, especially when you see the likes of Specchio and Wilson there going around side by side, a lot of driver respect out on track at the moment. We'll see whether Jensen's able to try and get that BMW up again. Not quite close enough in the brakes into 10 when we saw that move start last time by, and Specchio may be able just to extend a little bit of a gap here now.
Yeah, just on the topic of race control and penalties, etc. This series also does run a license system which uses sort of a penalty points system for indiscretions, and if you do pick up too many of those, you can see yourself having a one race suspension, which obviously isn't ideal if you're trying to collect championship points throughout the series. So there's definitely plenty of incentive for the guys to keep it clean.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really just adds to the quality of the driving we're seeing week in, week out throughout this championship. So we have had a pretty recent influx of new championship contenders here who are getting on the job at hand, but for all those guys, the seasoned veterans running, I think it really adds another dimension. Obviously, no one wants to go out and make a bit of a bum steer going around, and I think having something like that penalty system in play really enforces that solid effort. Martin Chris in another one of the XRC racing cars, he's got Tom Higgins right behind. You can see Higgins slowly closing in, just a fraction under brakes in another Ford. So seen a few Fords getting around, having a pretty strong run here tonight at Barcelona. They've been very, very well set up.
Yeah, just breaking away from that battle that we're watching there for a bit. So we've got about 5 minutes left here. So this battle here is one that's quite close. We've also got Delaney pretty close to the back of Vandenberg, which is just up ahead of this battle that we've been watching there. You can see that he's getting very, very defensive. Is Lee there trying to hang on to this position? So he's obviously not feeling too comfortable there.
No, Delaney's pushing exceptionally well. You can see him with that little cutback manoeuvre, let Vandenberg through and closed immediately back up on the run up the hill. Tries to have a look down the inside. This is where we saw that issue earlier on in the race with Luke Pink and Trent Thomas. These two get through nice and cleanly. Ooh. A little bit of a crisscross manoeuvre trying.
Yeah, that's one thing with this track that does present opportunities to try some different lines, and you can see Delaney looks like he's been able to get through there, down on the run into 7 and 8.
How quick can Vandenberg return? So there we saw him drop a wheel, which is ultimately let Blake get through. Thinks about a run down in 10 not close enough. We'll need to use that draft again off the main straight.
We almost need more cameras here at the moment because we've got a few drivers that have paired off. So this is Fletcher and Ryder just up ahead of that Delaney-Vandenberg battle, and then we've also got Newell and Morris pretty close together. Still that battle at the tail end of the top 10, so a lot to play for in the last sort of 3 minutes or so of this race.
Yeah, it's really going to make it open for anyone to have a crack at. So as we see Darren Lobb going around the inside there of Trent Thomas. I don't think Trent's going to be able to hold on in the BMW. Doesn't seem to quite have the grip on the outside that we saw from Specchio in the Ford, but Thomas runs it very wide, but should pick up a pretty decent draft, if not a slowdown after that one though.
Yeah, did well to hang on to it. Again, battle's pretty much right through the field. Down, we had Holden quite close to Hobbs there, down battling over 31st as well. And, looks like Hobbs has been able to just get a little bit of a gap. As I say that, looks like Holden's closing it down inside of the second again. So yeah, right from the mid pack right down to the tail, a lot of drivers having some good clean fights out there in the closing stages. Just touch base quickly with our leader as we head down to the last couple of minutes. Winkelmann's just come across to start lap 27. He's got almost a 10-second lead. Looks like we'll have 2 to go, including this one. And Edward's still holding down P2. Robinson is holding down 3rd. Phoeben's about 2 seconds behind. So that's a bit of a good run there from Robinson. It's, he's been able to hold that gap pretty steady. Harpers is still there, rounding out the top 5 as well. So no changes in the order while we've been away, looking at all those battles in the midfield.
Yeah, the top 5 have been really consistent tonight. The lap times have been very, very competitive. From all those guys, Winkelmann the only one, however, to have dipped into the 37s. All our other drivers sitting mid to low 38s, so a little bit off the pace, but yeah, putting in some very, very respectable times nonetheless. And at the end of the day, we're still looking at championship contention for both Phoeben and Huppert, so they're trying to minimise those gaps and maintain the points advantage that they can. Aaron Specchio trying to close up on Luke Sutton, who likewise trying to get a move done down the inside there of Jordan Cullis. And I think he's actually going to get that done. Cullis looks to have had a slowdown and drops down 2 or 3 spots there. So very weird as to what's going on. He actually falls right now behind Brett Wilson.
Yeah, it's a loss of several positions there. It's definitely not ideal right in the closing stages. Just have a look and see what happens here.
He's got a pretty nice run down into turn 3, down into Repsol. Runs a little bit wide, and I don't know whether he just picked up the dirt or not, but you see him just holding back, lets everyone through and then sweeps back in. So not sure whether there was potentially a slowdown that he had to clear from earlier on in the lap, and that was his last opportunity to do so or not. But the other option is he could be potentially struggling to even get the fuel to get that car home.
So Winkelmann out in front here with a commanding 10, almost 11-second lead. He's coming around to round this one out. Certainly been an impressive drive. Would have to be contended for drive of the day. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, it's been a really solid drive from Wickham, similar to what he did last week out at Watkins Glen, and again, really just extended the points and had a solid drive all the way through as he comes through for the final time through the last corner. What more can you say? Trick Esports claim 2 from 2.
Yeah, it's always good to get those back-to-back victories. So congratulations to that team and Winkelmann for taking victory here at Barcelona, and we've got Edwards just coming across the line. A little bit of a flash of the lights to celebrate his P2. Robinson ended up being only about 2.5 seconds behind there, and we've got a bit of action down in that mid-pack battle. That's Fletcher and Ryder still trying to put the pressure on him and on that last lap, but looks like he's unable to do it, and Fletcher's going to hold on for P13. And Tom Hagen comes across in the XRC car. A little bit of a formation finish for some teammates there from the looks of it. Oh, and a bit of contact. That's heading into Europe car there, was it? Yeah,
it looks like
Ferraris coming together.
Rizzo and Peter Hunter getting involved, and Rizzo slots back in behind, so those guys will come across in 28th to 29th position.
That's Sam Holden. Fortunately, we haven't caught much of him during this one. He's going to come across in P30, Big Bone Racing. Another one of the spectacular looking Fords. And that was the last of our lead lap cars coming across the line. And bear with us a moment as the results all come through, and we'll be able to go through the standings at the end of that one. But another great race. A little bit of a hectic start in that opening lap. Some race control, plenty of work to do, but I think they did a great job to get through all that and address all of those issues within the race. Looked like they were on top of it, and after that we did see some really good battles right throughout the field. A lot of drivers pairing off in the closing stages, but yeah, it's just all around a great evening of racing. We'll see if we can get some drivers in the box for some interviews post race. Results should be coming through very soon. Just bear with us. And here we go. So race results for round 6 of season 11 of the AMF Aussie Mixed Fixed GT Series. Anthony Wilkerman taking out the win for Trick Esports, and then we see Craig Edwards, Chris Robinson, Timothy Thieben, Nathan Huppets, Simon Nicholson, Martin Salvasi, Julian Klivensick, Will Newell, and Matt Morris rounds out the top 10. Adam Gardner in 11, followed by Richard Hunter, Billy Fletcher, Kane Ryder, Blake Delaney, Lee Vandenberg, Martin Crisp, Tom Hagen. That's the 2 XRC drivers there, and followed by another XRC driver in P19, Nick Sanfilippo, followed by Jesse Butler, Arian Jakar, Aaron Specchio, Liam Jensen, Brett Wilson, Luke Sutton in P25, followed by Darren Lobb, Peter Hunter, Ross Rizzo in 28th. And scrolling through, Lindsay Hobbs and Sam Holden were the last of the lead lap cars, and then we've got a few drivers there that obviously struck a little bit of trouble in the race. Jordan Cullis, Adrian Vlock, Adrian Lecty, Vaughan Ryder, Trent Thomas, Warren Pickering, Brett Hender, Michael Kirkham, Luke Pink, Dave Clements having uncharacteristically bad evening there, and Joshua Thomas, David Miller, and Alex Court. We saw him mixed up in a bit of contact early in the race, down in 43rd. So we'll just see if we can bring some drivers across and have a chat to see how their race went, and we'll have a chat to our race winner, Anthony Wilkerman, first. Hi Anthony, welcome to the Apex Racing TV comms box. Mate, a absolutely commanding drive out there tonight. You got a great jump at the start, and it was looked like it was pretty easy from what we saw. But obviously, that's never the case. You were setting some great lap times.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Good fun. The car felt really good, and never raced around there before, so I've obviously done some practice time, some practice laps, but never did a race. I was pretty chuffed with the result. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward from my end, mate. Just run the car low and then top it back up and maybe go.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be pleased with back-to-back wins. Is that the kind of performances you were sort of expecting, or does that come as a surprise?
Yeah, a bit of a surprise, man. I haven't ever done anything like this fixed series, so there's a lot involved, especially when it comes to qualifying with running the car low, and you got to keep the car clean in order to get new tyres and set your fastest lap towards the end of the stint. So it's tough, and it took a bit to get my head around. I missed it last week, but managed to grab it this week. I'm stoked.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the victory, and congrats to the team, Trick Esports. Is there anyone else that you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, man, we got a couple of sponsors on board. We've got Hybrid Racing Simulations, Momo Australia, and also Fuel Auto Tech, along with Trick Custom Fabrications. I'd like to thank everyone for being on board with us and supporting us, and also the boys for showing up, which was a 50% decent result from us, but the other two, unfortunately, copped a bit of a flogging, so interesting to go back and see what actually happened.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Your race control was certainly quite busy early on there, so they had a lot to look at, but I think they got through most of it. But we'll look forward to seeing you out for the next race at Silverstone.
Awesome, mate. Look forward to it. Thanks very much, Brad.
Cheers. And I believe Daniel has got Craig Edwards in the booth.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Craig, congratulations, mate. Second place tonight. Another good result for yourself and the Fusion Sim Racing team. How was it out there?
Oh, bit of a struggle towards the end there, Daniel. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Pretty happy with second. Definitely had nothing for Anthony once he got away from me out of the tow. I had a little slowdown, which is why I came in for my alternate strategy pit. And after that, it was just a case of trying to hang on to those tyres. And with about 5 to go, it was quite a struggle indeed. You could see I was getting reeled in by third place all the way home, but managed to get it home over the line.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we saw going into this week another adjustment to the balance of performance from what we saw last time out at Watkins Glen. How did you find that? Obviously, a couple of changes now back to back. Do you think that's improved the feel of the car? Or it looked like up and down throughout the field, obviously, with the exception of Mr. Winkelman once he got away, but everyone else seemed to be finding themselves in some really solid battles throughout the course of the race.
Yeah, I think the BOP is on point for this track. Any car could have won it tonight with the right driver behind it. Obviously, that was Anthony tonight. Congratulations again to him. And yeah, the times were super close in qualifying, so I think that holds true. There might be a bit of a question mark about tyre wear over the stints for the various cars, but like I said, I pitted early, so I was always going to suffer. We'll have to see how it goes in the next few tracks, but I think it's a big improvement from the previous round.
Yeah, well, next week we're off to Silverstone, another 45 minutes to go through, and we've seen you get in some pretty decent battles over the past couple of seasons there. The car's been very, very good. What are your thoughts going forward to Silverstone?
Just excitement. I freaking love that circuit, and whatever config it's in, and yeah, look forward to fighting someone again. Fantastic,
mate. Well, another very good performance from yourself and the Fusion Sim Racing team. Before we let you go, was there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and thanks to?
Yep. First off, congrats to Julian, our brand new member this week. 8th on debut, despite a few little troubles. He was disappointed with 8th, but I reckon that's pretty damn good on debut. So congrats to him. And also big thanks to our sponsors, Dripping Paint Graphics, Eclipse Signage, and Daryl Carter Plastering.
Fantastic, Craig. Well, again, congratulations on second place tonight. Another great result, and definitely look forward to catching up with you at Silverstone.
Good chatting with you guys. See you next time.
That was Craig Edwards, our P2 driver this evening, and now we have in the booth Chris Robinson, Mach 1 esports driver, came home in third place. Congratulations, Chris. Welcome to the booth, and looked like a pretty fun drive out there for you, putting a bit of pressure on Edwards towards the end there. Not quite being able to get there, but how was the race from your point of view?
Yeah, g'day guys. A bit boring. I was on my own for most of it really, so just trying to reel in Craig at the end. I overshot my pit box to get the reverse going, so lost a bit of time there, but we were reeling him in, just not enough time at the end there.
And it looked like you came through sort of that opening phase pretty clean. There was a little bit of carnage in the opening laps behind you, but were you able to sort of catch any of that in the mirrors, or was pretty straightforward for you?
Certainly saw someone coming up the inside rather quickly. I don't know who it was, but I guess lucky to start at the front and sort of avoid that.
Yeah. And how did you find the Ford with the recent setup changes?
Understeery, but I think everyone was in the same boat, so I think it's probably a bit of a good change. I know there was some dramas with the car and snap oversteer, same with the Fez, so I think it's been a good change. This track's probably not a good one to test it on because it's understeery at the best of times.
Well, next week will certainly offer a different challenge as we head to Silverstone for another 45-minute race. So what are your thoughts heading into that one?
Yeah, just get the laps in. I don't normally race these cars, so just got to get the laps in and get used to it, and hopefully we can come out with a similar result and set some of the rest of the team on the podium.
Yeah, well, no worries. Well, congratulations again for the podium. And is there anyone you'd like to give a bit of a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to RMS and Night Rider Designs for the sponsorship, and just to our GT boys in general and our team. So I normally race different cars, and they've welcomed me and given me a hand the whole way, and it's been a good bit of fun.
Well, certainly seems to have paid off with a podium tonight, so congratulations again, and we look forward to seeing you out next week at Silverstone.
Yeah, cheers guys, see you then.
So that was Chris Robinson, our P3 driver, rounding out the podium tonight. Daniel, a great night at racing, plenty of action. Race control might have seen a little bit more action than they were hoping, but I think overall very entertaining nights of racing.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really good showing, all up and down the field. I mean, we had those couple of little issues early on, and when you've got 43 cars barreling down into turn one, there are likely to be a few little indiscretions along the way. But once the field sort of got out into that single file, we really started to see the battles develop, and there's some really solid fights up and down throughout the field, which is what we've really become sort of accustomed with seeing so far in this championship. And yeah, hats off to the top three. They drove a fantastic race. Winkelmann very dominant again, and he put on a really solid running last time out at Washington Glen. A really good masterclass tonight, extending the gap to just over 10 seconds to finish this one out. So moving on to Silverstone next week. We've been there a few times. It's a very interesting layout. These cars very well suited to it with the downforce that they have on board, and really looking to see how that goes. I think balanced performance looking very, very good. I'd be very surprised if we see any potential changes, but we do have a week between, so we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, really looking forward to next week out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of see them hold off on that until we see what happens at Silverstone, because they're two quite different tracks, and that layout does have a sort of a lot of different types of corners on it, so it could be quite good to see how the BOP goes there. So we do look forward to that one. Join us next week for the round 7 of the Aussie Mixed Fixed GT Series at Silverstone. Thanks again to our sponsors, Abruzzi Raceware Australia, and RMS Race Management Service, and Simfinity. And I'm Brad Clank, being joined tonight by Daniel Leet and Scott Newton behind the scenes production, bringing us some stunning images. and we look forward to bringing you coverage next week. Until then, it's bye-bye from all of us here at Apex Racing TV.